If you keep yourself to yourself, it becomes a coffin. Real freedom is in putting yourself out there and taking that risk. As I started coming out of my shell, coming out of my comfort zone, that's really just shaped a huge part of who I am these last couple of years. From the time I was a young kid, I just remember we would just sing and harmonize, and later on in life, like around 5th grade, my dad got sick with multiple sclerosis. Through the music, it was just kind of a natural expression of what was going on interiorly. You know, asking the Lord, like, why is this happening to me? Or how do I make sense of this? There's no real intellectual answer to it sometimes. It's a question of the heart. Going into the nursing home to visit my dad, I remember just sitting with him, and I didn't know at that time, he couldn't really talk or communicate much, so I didn't know if he really knew who was sitting with him. And I remember I just sang this song from church that we used to sing way back in the day, and it's called Isaiah 49. Do you mind if I sing it? Okay, but it's like, I will never forget you, my people. I have carved you on the palm of my hand. I will never forget you. I will not leave you orphaned. I will never forget my own. And I remember sitting there and I was holding his hand and a tear came down his cheek. Well, I started crying too, because it's just this complete vulnerability of just letting go and like letting my heart be out there. Music was this language for expressing the Andrea that's afraid or sad or like wondering if she's loved. You know, I can either reject the grace of God, reject Him coming close to me, or in suffering, I realize like He feels the pain that I'm feeling. And I think art in its many different forms can kind of give you a way to process that. I think as a musician, there is always going to be competition. There's always going to be comments. Sometimes it's so vulnerable, it's so raw that yeah, it can be almost intimidating to like let other people see into that. Like people can do whatever they want with this art or interpret it in any single way, but at the end of the day, it's about connecting with someone. And like when you're caught in the comparison or the fear or whatever, it keeps you from making that vulnerable connection. One time I was in the studio with Mike Ofka, and we're sitting there, and I was like, he's like, okay, play this song. And I was like, I'm not very good at guitar, like you are an absolute master at it, like you play it. And he was like, Andrea, sometimes it's not about how good you are, it's about the flavor that you bring. Like, don't be afraid, you bring something that no one else can bring. And that's a beautiful thing. Check 1, 2, 3.